Hello, welcome to Smiley's. Tonight we are summarizing and discussing Chapter 5 of Fall of Light. I'm joined by Mora. Hello, Mora.
Hi.
If you can tell, I'm rather low energy today because it's been a long day, and this chapter is a trip on its own. So, if you would excuse me, I'm just going to kick back and relax. So, Mora, first of all, how are you? I didn't ask that.
I'm okay.
And
It's
how's
fine.
the
I like
chapter?
this chapter. I liked it a
Yeah.
lot, and I'm so happy. I usually don't ask that I want to do something, and this is the first time I asked you. Like, this is Lasa Rook, and I want it, right? So yeah, I had fun. I don't know why you're so bummed out about this chapter, but it was good.
I'm not bummed out about the chapter itself. It just, well, Galan, I think, primes you quite well about what to expect from this chapter in particular. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's not like it was smooth sailing for me because I kept asking in the group chat, like, what am I reading? What's going on? Why are we even doing this? So, this chapter has its moments. Anyway, let's start. I have less than 4,000 words to go. We start with scene 0, right? And I'm titling this Learn from this. I'm titling this Galan.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So, Galan is telling us, and now the tone of this tale must change. And he's going to tell us about wayward Azathanai, the war against death, foolish youth, and bitter ancients. So, we finished this chapter. Hopefully, whoever is listening has finished reading this chapter. So, the wayward Azathanai are Krull and Skillen. War against death is where all these Telakai are going. What about foolish youth and bitter ancients? Who do you think they are? I would argue that they haven't shown up yet.
I think that's next
Even
chapter.
though there is some sort of your
It's
chapter, right?
definitely next chapter because the
Yeah.
way the next chapter begins, you'll know exactly who the bitter ancients are.
So anyway, so this is what the book is shifting right now, and he tells us outright that we are going to plunge into the absurdity of the unimaginable and the impossible. I'm not the only one who reads the word unimaginable and thinks of Hamilton, right? Quiet uptown, no?
I don't
Oh, well,
listen to that
that
song very
makes me
often.
cry like each time I listen to it. Like
Yeah,
one
yeah.
or the other line of the song gets me. So anyway, Galan tells us that the Azathanai are very powerful. Yeah, but are they gods? Maybe. If they are gods, then they are children, and they are not worthy of worship. And he tells you with,
Okay, can I just say,
yeah, please interrupt me. Yeah,
sorry. With chapter 11 of Forge of Darkness, when as Arathan and Draconis are looking about the exact same thing, and
yeah,
Draconis calls the Azathanai gods in waiting,
yeah.
and here Galan says they're childish. God damn it! Excuse me.
Pause.
So as
You're
I
back.
was saying, we're back. Sorry for that. As I was saying, Draconis calls the Azathanai gods in waiting, waiting for worshippers. And then he goes on like, but they're not always gods. They exist in and of themselves and for themselves. And then Galan comes along and they're like, no, they're children, they're idiots. So, there's a tension of Galan trying to make a point in Forge of Darkness versus Galan trying to make a point here.
Right.
Please
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, I'm continuing. Yeah. So, and then Galan asks you, Fisher. He's talking to Fisher, obviously, not us. And he asks Fisher, you're probably confused at the way I'm telling this story because why doesn't the place of beginnings have territories and shorelines and everything that clues you into a proper single world? And you know what his reply is? What his answer to that is? He says, dare I suggest that what clashes is within you, not me. This, by the way, isn't Steve telling us anything, right? It's just Galan telling Fisher. Probably Fisher's face was, sort of confused looking or something. So now, shall I go on?
Yeah.
You have something to say
Basically,
about.
what Galan says here is like, you think of like the far past as some unformed realm of potential, but how am I supposed to make a tale of a place that has like one city here, and like one city over there, and that's all? I need
Yeah.
something to start with. So Kharkanas isn't the deep past. It is a past, but close enough to where details and these structures that Galan's describing here do still exist. If you want the deeper past, you have to look to the mythology of the Deist, which is going to relate to you here, but, you know. So maybe the problem was with you, not with him, but, it's not
Yeah.
Steve telling us anything, promise.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're not thinking these things, right?
Yeah,
We are more sophisticated than that, right?
of course, of course.
So, and he says, yeah, as you said, the deep past is a type of imagination too, because it is a mystery that adds to your sense of wonder.
Mhm.
And I believe Kaplo said something like this, that it is a deep past can only exist in imagination or something. No?
Mhm.
That was something very similar
That
to
reason
this
drips
line.
away, leaving only vicious imagination and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah.
But then Galan, the poet Galan, who's narrating this story to us, he tells us, not us, sorry, he tells Fisher
Fisher.
that he
Yeah.
has given him like comfortable footfalls, right? He has mentioned all the familiar places he saw in Forge of Darkness, like the keeps and the monasteries and the whatever, all the places from there, so that he is more comfortable coming back to this world. And because he has given all this familiarity, probably the mystery is lost. Maybe. But anyway, this is just to prep him because Fisher might be just put off with that. The whole book has changed into a different direction. So he's
Hmm.
just preparing him, right? Now, there is a complicated bit which I'll just try to say. He says there are countless realms jostling in the ether,
Hmm.
and everything can be assumed to be like islands of worlds. And the island containing Kurald Galain and Kharkanas, it abuts other realms, which are half seen and barely sensed. And you know what he's doing? He's going to unfold the world and see what wonders are revealed. So what he's saying is, don't look for these places in any map because these are all just half seen and barely sensed, right? But things are going on, so let's just follow the story. Scene one. Do you know what I'm naming this?
Hang on, who's there? Who's seen one? Cruel Skillen?
What did I name it?
Cruel and Skillen?
No? Oh, I wouldn't take three words when I can do it with just one. I mean, I
Just
use
Skillen?
the Azathanai.
Okay,
See? See? I'm not
fair
trying to
enough.
pad my numbers here. I'm fine
Fair,
with whatever word count I get. So,
fair,
yeah.
fair, fair.
So, we are at this place called the Sidleways. And it is like a corner of the mind of the universe. Okay? We just start off with this reptilian type of Azathanai, Skillendro, who is walking across a plain. He's following the footsteps of someone who has gone this way while dragging something or someone. By the end, we know that it is some builder who was dragging along Krul, trying to dispose Krul but couldn't. So anyway, he's trying to follow this guy, and he's doing this because he heard Krul call, and we assume that he came because he thought Krul was a woman at this time, right? So, so anyway, and he doesn't fly because this air is too caustic. Why? Any idea why? No idea. I don't know. You have some
I
spoilers
don't have
answers or
anything
what?
now. I don't.
Okay,
I don't
so that's your
remember. I
I
don't.
don't
Even if I
know
did,
face, right?
I don't
Okay.
remember. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So anyway, he notices like statues, idols, and other ruins. And because he's coming here after a long absence, he doesn't recognize most of them. And these forgotten monuments wash up here in this realm like flotsam. Flotsam. That's how you say that word, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this place is probably the repository of failed faiths, abandoned dreams, and broken promises. He is not happy with the thought that the universe has a mind, since it can only be a cluttered one. And looking at the state of this place, one could assume that the custodian is either sleeping or drunk. And this is a river where ideas bounce off boulders and dissolve, notions spiral endlessly and devour themselves, and so on. So he thinks it's not exactly a sleeping mind, it's more like a hibernating mind where the waters are always restless because of any idea that comes up. Don't ask me. Don't ask me deeper than this because I'm just translating the words. I have no idea what is going on here. He's just thinking that this is a part of the world. This realm is entirely given over to just failed faiths, right? So I don't know how much more we need to know about this place. Do we come back? I have no idea. Don't, if it's spoilers, don't tell me. So anyway, whoever is telling this, and the thing is, in this chapter there are a few parts where suddenly we get everything in italics, like as if Galan is telling us, or it could be Skillen, his own thoughts. A few parts are, they come up like this, and I'm not sure what to make of it. So anyway, whoever is thinking these thoughts, he thinks that it is up to debate, that he thinks that, he's not the one to impose rhythms upon the storm. He only plays with others' words by spitting up the dregs of the poets he has devoured. Has Killen gone around eating poets? Or is it like Galan who has taken so many words of so many poets and has regurgitated them? We don't know. It could be either. Uh, and he thinks that these forgotten gods are all praying for a prayer, right? You have something to add?
Um, Not really. No.
Okay.
The Well, I have one thing to mention later, but that's when he meets Kurald, so we'll save that for then.
Yeah, he's going to meet Krul right away. So he comes across this stone building with a gatehouse and flies closer. There are some haphazard tracks all over the yard, and eventually it leads to a huddled figure at the entrance. And he sees that this is Krul, and Skillen keeps saying that he prefers Krul as a woman. As they meet, Skillen stands in the path of a sideways current. Right? It's like an energy current, not which doesn't like move like wind or anything. This current has been pouring into the house, and Skillen stands in the way. Krul thinks that this current is taking away possibilities and taking it inside the house. And is it really vanishing inside? He doesn't know. And he asks Skillen that doesn't he have any issues with if his words or thoughts are torn away from him and they gain immortality inside the house. Right? Skillen doesn't bother answering all that. He just asks, "Why are you here?" And Krul says he was dragged there by a builder and then left alone. Then Skillen moves out of this energy stream and he asks what is inside the house. Krul says it must be like the others. It's like the great upside down. Thoughts are inverted and perspective may be displaced and all that. And then Skillen notices that Krul is very pale and he says that, Skillen has been away for so long and he wants to know about his travels. And this is when Skillen starts telling us about the place he has found where he was living as an Asathanite. He says he found one breed and he has taken the role of assassin in that breed. Right? Can you just say it
Yep.
out loud? Because I didn't get it when
Yeah.
I was reading. I thought it was a
Yeah.
dragon or
Yeah.
something.
Go for it.
So he is probably like a Shigal assassin. And probably the people he has found are the Kichains. Shamal or Naruk, I can't say. He's found one of them.
The Naruk don't have assassins. They have very singular breeds.
Is it?
Yeah.
Or the Naruk are all like homogeneous colony?
The Naruk. So from the Book of the Fallen, we know that like the Naruk are the original breed. Then the Kemali evolved from the Naruk, and the Naruk went extinct, and then the Kemali resurrected the Naruk to be their servants. And then there was a civil war.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's probably
So it's
Kemali.
just
On top of like what Skillen says now about like finding a world in argument with itself and imposing
yeah.
perfect logic and whatnot. So yeah, that tracks.
So, yeah, but does he mean that this breed is like fighting with itself? Is that what he means? A world in argument with itself.
So the Kemali are practical. Like
When have
practical.
we started saying Kamali for them? When is this a new thing?
I think it's how Steve pronounces it, and I just internalized it.
Fine. Okay.
I might look it. Hang on, I'll look it up.
No, please. Let's finish up. My God.
I'll look in it somewhere. Yeah, it's Kamal. Okay, Chemal, whatever. I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna call him Kamali. Doesn't matter.
Fine.
So yeah, the Gajain are basically very pragmatic, right? They, as Skilla mentions, they lack imagination. They form very rational thoughts. They draw their philosophy from the world around them. They rationalize a lot of things. they're like the opposite of empiricism. Rather than relying on experience, they have to think things through. Why does this work? How does this work? Which often leads them to conflict with other races because other races are more empiricist. They rely on experience. They can't explain how a warren works, but they use it anyway. Now, for an Azathanai who effectively, Kurald, I think, mentioned this at the end of the chapter, that they have no idea where they came from. Who made this? Who came first? It's a bit nonsensical to search for these answers to begin with. So Skillen probably all of these people, well, they're not people, I guess.
They are
these
people. Why wouldn't you say people?
People is for humanoids, no?
Why are you being such a...
I'm being racist. Sorry. These people.
Racist,
yeah, my bad. In contempt because they hold very rational thoughts, which probably Skillen thinks cannot reach any higher truths. Maybe. I don't know.
He says something like, they worship demonstrable truths, which Skillen finds ironic and arrogant. I didn't get it when I was reading and summarizing, and then at the end of the chapter, I realized that, they don't have access to demonstrable truths, the Azathanai. And that's why he finds it so ironic. Anyway, then Kurald says that he has made a gift of possibilities, of magic that requires no bargaining with any Azathanai. And he also says that his gifts are being abused already, which is like shocker, big shocker. Yeah, then Skillen thinks that Kurald has lost his mind. He says that Kurald also tells him that it is Erastus who's trying to command the gifts, and then he alters it to say something which will be more understandable for Skillen in his present state. So he says Erastus is trying to impart a flavor to that magic, to his gift. And now the dragons are returning, and Kurald basically wants a guardian because both.
Note the word returning.
Yeah. Let us please note the word returning because I don't know what to make of it. This is my second time through Fall of Light, and it is things like this which are just, beginning to bother me a lot because I did not notice all these things. Yeah. So if anyone is reading this for the first time, make note. The dragons are returning.
Dragons are returning. And the last time we heard of dragons in Kurald Galain was Rise Harad and Emerald Lanier in chapter 15, Forge of Darkness, before they were dicks. Sorry. Discussing Dice creation myths and how the first heroes of the Dice killed the Elaint and then drank their blood, became tyrants, and then the Azathanai, as well as other Dice, had to band together and take them down. So that was,
I think
yeah?
No, I think it comes up with Arathan also. So at some point of time, he's trying to think something that there was no mention of dragon there, or it was just dark and light.
It was the Age of Gifts. What do you think is Age of Gifts? Okay. I don't remember if dragons are mentioned. I don't think
chaos is mentioned. I don't think dragons.
I think it's mentioned like every dice card is a gift of chaos, but I don't think there's mention of dragons. The mention of dragons comes with Rise Harad and Emerald in chapter 15, and again here there's like returning, right? So.
Yeah, I'm just going to continue. Cool. And Kurald says he needs a guardian because both Erastus and Tiam are looking for him, and Skillen is fearless of Erastus. So Kurald decides to tell him about what Erastus has done. Presumably he's going to tell him that he is not not stepped away from murder. He's basically started murdering people for the magic. Anyway, just because before I end this scene, I want to just tell you that Kurald says that he's no longer a woman because his days of birthing is over, and Skillen notes that his days of bleeding is not, which is just unnecessary if you ask me. But yeah, it's so much fun. Now, scene 2. What do you think I'm naming this?
I?
Yeah,
the Helikai.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is where.
What I wanted before we get to the Helikai, I want to mention 2 things. One, we know that Kurald transforms into a woman whenever he has to birth something, right? He was a woman.
Not many people might have finished novels of the Malazan Empire,
but
so
we're doing spoilers for this.
Not.
We might as well not, but we do it every time.
Who's going to do that? What? Sorry?
But we do this every time, no? Like we say that it's like spoilers for novels of the Malazan Empire as well. If you haven't finished
We
them, go read
do,
them.
but most people like me will not bother. They'll just try to listen. And is there value in mentioning that right now? Isn't it enough to
Yes.
just say that Krul takes on the guise of a woman when he wants to create something?
Yeah, let's go with that.
I'm sorry. Am I
I
stifling you?
mean,
Okay, go
that's
on, tell
that's
me.
the bottom
Yeah.
line, right? That's the bottom
Yeah,
line. So
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's really great because that is not something I would have noticed on my own. So,
So
but yeah,
the
we
second
don't have
thing
to go.
is the
Yeah,
builders. We don't know what the
yeah.
builders are.
I think there is still more
There's
discussion about the builders coming up.
yeah,
We are not done with the
there's
builders talk.
the one elder whom Nimander finds in Kothos' dream world
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
in Kill the Hounds. I have no idea what that is. And
yeah.
there's one entity also in the novels which I cannot mention because we're not doing spoilers for them now.
But it's not really a spoiler. It's just there is one elder who is almost exactly like the type of guy we see in Troll the Hounds. It's in the
Yeah.
prologue of one of the books, right?
No, no, no.
We don't we don't
I mean
get
a different
much
guy.
detail there.
So the elder we know builds Azath houses from Kill the Hounds,
Yeah,
right? He builds
yeah,
Azath houses and then Gothos takes them, plucks them, puts them elsewhere.
yeah,
The guy in the novels, we don't know if he's associated with Azath houses, but he is
yeah. I
similar
mean, he's not
to
really building anything, right?
yeah. But
He's just there.
well, anyway,
I'm sorry.
we're
The-
dancing about the answer anyway. But we don't know if there's a connection between them here, and probably not later either. So just
okay.
something to keep in mind that the builders mentioned here may or may not have be connected with the elder from Toll the Hounds that builds Azath houses. And be all.
I think they're exactly the same. I don't know why you're saying it may or may
Almost
not.
certainly, but there's no
Yeah.
explicit confirmation. That's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. I think in the next book, Steve is going to like put a line at the top which says that yes, this builder is exactly that person there. Yeah, that that this is
Being
all the
sassy.
explicit information we are going to get. I'm
I'm being
sorry.
mocked for
You're
being
not being mocked. I'm just being sarcastic or something. But
massive difference. Please carry on.
if you're only in scene two, there are like 8 scenes in this chapter. The Telakai. Briefly, if you just want to listen to this in 10 seconds and move on, it's Lasa Rook, who has headed the Jagut war on death, and she has left the village with 2 young guys to act as her guardians, Hanako and Creed. Okay? If you want in detail, listen up. The POV begins with Hanako thinking of how everything began with a conversation. And it was the curse of the Telakai that silence is the only thing that could stop the flood of words. I mean, isn't it always silence which stops you from talking? It makes no sense. But anyway, the silence is a rare beast among them. And his people, they use laughter as the first response to pain. And he's thinking all these thoughts. And like we discussed in the previous chapter, it's not like he's just chilling somewhere and thinking these things. He's basically recovering from a bear attack. And behind him, Creed has started skinning the beast while humming mindlessly. And in front of him, there is Lasa Rook, the breakaway character of this chapter. She's on all fours, recovering from laughter, and she's, basically crying. And she begs Hanako to make some pronouncement for this moment, that it was just a slap or two from the Lord of Temper. And, he shouldn't be bridling at this. Then, anyway, she's been laughing and all that. And side note, I think we should just notice that these people are all blonde. Yeah? Telakai are
Mm-hmm.
blonde. And who else was blonde in Forge of Darkness?
Risen?
Yeah, Grizzle. And then Creed offers the bear skin to Hanako. He tells him that, you have to wear it or something. And then they wonder how they missed this bear cave. And Creed wants Hanako to always carry a weapon with him, even if he's just going somewhere to poop in the woods. He also gives him this lower jaw, which Hanako has basically torn off. And then they cook the tongue for breakfast. And while cooking the tongue, Creed makes a joke. He says something like, "The Lord of Tempers run out of things to say, haha." And you know what happens? This makes Lhasa finally stop laughing. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, it's just my kind of humor. Yeah. And then Hanako goes to take bath in the stream, and then he thinks that the bear might well have saved him the journey by killing him because they're after going to face death, right? And then he remembers an old saying of a woman who was born in the seas but yearns for the plains, and so on and so on. I'm quoting, as if the point already made could never be made to perfection, and the axe swings eternal against the tree until the leaves raining down barriers. Right? So anyway, he returns and he asks for suturing, and Dr. Rook, Lasa Rook, she takes a look and says that he is fit. He doesn't need any suture. And then she also tells say something like a mountain of snow could not shrivel bold Hanako, and they keep bantering for a bit. If you want more detail, I think Lee will take over.
Yeah,
And then
no,
Lhasa
there's no need for more detail, I think.
and then Lhasa resumes her journey and she calls them my workhorses. And Hanako thinks that, I don't know why this is an explicit thought, but he thinks that so far nobody has slept with anyone else on this journey. And then Creed tells him to wear the cloak because it is a gift of the lord of the forests or beasts or something. And this is how they honor the slain. Lhasa disagrees. She says that honor cannot fit everyone, and the dead will crowd your wake, and all they carry is resentment towards you when you wear their skin and all that. It's the Telakai, right? So dead crowding the wake is something that we should be familiar with by now. Then Hanako says he would have yielded to the beast if he had the choice, and Lhasa says that it is fear which takes away your choices until you're left with only one. And the bear had basically what has happened is the bear has come out of the cave, sees its ways blocked, and because it doesn't understand the concept of retreat, it tried to attack Hanako and got killed. And then as they go on, she muses on this ridiculous journey they're on, because which direction are they going to find death, right? Is it east? She has a story for each direction. The north is very interesting because she says there is a sleeping woman whose half of her body is stolen by a serpent corpse, and she asks Hanako if this is a worthy war. And instead of answering her in like one line, there is a whole big flashback. Yeah, do you have something? Are you lost in thought?
Yeah, I was thinking of like if there's any real world symbolism with the sleeping woman being
Oh, not
devoured.
the sleeping woman, but in our in Hinduism, we say death comes from the south. Like the Lord of
Mm.
Death, Yama, is from the south, and that's why mostly houses will not be built facing south. North and east are auspicious. The door has to face east or north. South, no, no, south is not allowed. Even west, some people, they go according to astrology, and there is some like west may be okay, but south, no. That's where the god of death comes on he rides a black bull, he carries a mace, and he sees that the door is open, he might just enter. That's the
Oh
story.
yeah, wasn't Yama like metal as fuck?
Yama is amazing, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember that because our like
Oh,
our
and
di- yeah.
you know
Um.
what my kid did today? Just quick note. She's trying to count two, and she counted one, two. So yeah, Yama is metal. Most of our gods are quite metal, actually. So
Yeah,
continue.
yeah,
Anything
sure.
else?
I can't
Real
think of
world
any metaphors
symbolism
right
for
now.
this
So
sleeping woman and corpse. I don't know.
if
Is
you
it the
have
Little
anything, let us
Mermaid?
know.
I mean,
Or
it
email
must be
us.
the Little Mermaid, right? It must
Oh,
be,
for
yeah.
sure, obviously.
Yeah. Is her name Ariel? I think it's Ariel, right? Yeah.
Yeah, really. And I think the wait was it
The
from
crab's
Anderson?
name is Sebastian. I know that because Lin Manuel named his son Sebastian. We are going
Oh,
so far away from Fall of Light. Will you stop looking up the Little Mermaid? Listen.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, please look up. I'll just continue. So we have a flash. Instead, when she asks, "Is this a worthy war?" I think Hanako starts, remembering how they heard about this war on death, and at first they all laughed. Yeah, what did you find out?
Oh yeah. The Little Mermaid is made by Hans Christian Andersen, who is a Danish poet and writer. So technically, he's from the north, so it counts. It tracks.
Yeah, first the
We're
Telagai
committed to the
laughed
metaphor.
and
Yeah,
mocked,
go on.
and and then soon they all lost their humor because they start remembering all the deaths they have faced and all that. And in place of this laughter, what came up is scorched gleefulness. Isn't that quite amazing? I just like the way he writes about these telekai. Then Hanako thinks that if one is offered many dreams, but only few are possible, right? And dreams, usually people just say that dreams are only to be tolerated. And as a young man, he was mocked by everyone for having dreams. And then he wonders if, why do the old and wise people think that dreams belong only to them? Because all they know is the disappointment of dreams. Isn't it the realm of children? And death is the reaper of ambition, the devourer of hope. And he knows that the Jagat have called for an army, and in the name of a war that could not be won, the Tel Lakai gave their answer with a drumbeat of heavy, bitter laughter and said, "That is a war we can wage." He remembers all this and answers Lhasa that this is the only worthy war, right? And then she asks him to speak in her defense when her husbands eventually catch up. And this is when these guys realize that they're being followed by her three husbands. Yeah. Scene three.
Yeah,
Go on,
yeah,
go
sure.
on.
So yeah, as a side note, the very few things we know of the Thelakai from last book is that they have like the best alcohol. Like their ale is enough to kill a man,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and that's basically all we know of them. We don't know very
No,
much.
we
We know
also
about
know
Risen,
that they are like songwriters or singers from the hills or something like that. There is some
yeah, from
association
who
with
was it?
poetry.
Oh god. Um, that one, border sword scholar who just
Ferrer,
fuck. No, 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 no.
Will
I don't
Galak.
remember the name. It's something with K. It's like Karish, like Caliph,
I can only
something
say
adjacent to that.
Calaris. Yeah, okay.
It's something adjacent to that. She appears for like 2 pages and then gets killed when the Legion
Oh
raids
yeah,
the border sword.
the tower lady, the librarian
But
lady. Yeah, yeah.
basically, yeah, we know that they have like kick-ass alcohol and a very, very strong oral tradition,
Huh.
and we can see why here because apparently
And after seeing
Hanako.
Lhasa, we can say, oral could mean anything. So we should
Oh
not pay
Jesus
much
Christ!
attention. I'm sorry. So what is scene three called?
Yeah, the
Recover
husband.
quickly. No, that's the next one.
No.
This is the
Okay.
dragons.
Oh yeah, this is dog tennis, right?
Yeah. And this is the
Yeah,
reason why we had that scene in last chapter, which you didn't like.
yeah,
Kagamandra and Barsa or Bered, they all showed up because, to remind us that the dragons have entered this world. Because
right.
it's just like two or three pages in Forge of Darkness at the end. So
Mhm.
people might have missed it, right? So anyway, the dragons. Dalk Dennis has just made love to his beloved wife, Iskari Mokra. Can I just say quickly that if at all we do the novellas, it's more or less going to be like this, right? It's full of so many such jokes that we're probably just going to cringe our way through it. We'll not summarize it. We'll just discuss it if we read the novellas. So anyway, he's just made love to Iskari Mokra. All his names are going to be familiar, so let's see. And theirs is a love of centuries with ebbs and flows in the chaos of love. He can still feel, the heat of their love making. And recently, I think AP tweeted that Draconian is not reptilian. And, I started thinking about that. And probably the only conclusion I can reach is that reptilian is like cold blooded, whereas Draconian is definitely not. At least the Malazan dragons are, I wouldn't call them cold blooded because they run on magic and they should be able to regulate their temperature to some extent, right? Do you have any thoughts on dragon biology?
I
No?
don't know. No,
I mean, if I ask
no.
entropy, you would probably start. No, but not
I
this.
do think there's mention of it. Yeah, they're like Cruel and Skill and bring it up at the end. So yeah,
I think I glazed over
I
that word
have
because I didn't
thoughts.
add that. Okay, we'll reach there. Just tell me when it comes up because I definitely skipped that. So anyway, after their fury had spent, Iskari Mokra had flown away very quickly, and then he thinks that they're all fragments of TM, right? All these dragons. They're too wise to be called children and too foolish to be called ancients. And I have no idea why this line is there. It says something like, "We are in the middle of our lives, in the age of walking backwards." What's that?
Ooh.
What the hell is that? I'm things like this just
They're not.
take me out. What? Do you have an
I
answer?
don't know. They're not children. They're not ancients. They're in the middle of their lives. No shit. The
What
age of
the fuck
walking
is an age
backwards.
of walking backwards?
I guess he's just making mistakes and he's going back on life. Like rather than
Or we
walk
can just say
forward.
this is just because they're returning to this world instead of
I
coming for the
mean,
first time. Maybe they're walking backwards.
maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. The
Yeah, let's
metaphors of this
not.
chapter are lost on me.
Eh,
I'm sorry.
yeah, let's go on. So when the gate had opened, they had all rushed in, right? So was it an escape or was it a summons? They couldn't tell. And the dragons each tried to maintain some distance and they would occasionally clash. And they have so much history that their companionship is like fevered. But he has also stalked and taken his lover, right? At the beginning, he says something like it was a some amazing ebbing and flowing love, and then they made love. And no, no, it is not like that. He has stalked her and then raped her. Basically, I don't know if draconian rape counts, but by this time he thinks that he had left her alone because she needed to sleep and heal and wait for the spawn to come up. Isn't Dalk basically a dick? And also, he wonders if like this is their instinct to populate a new world as soon as they come there. But then instincts could also lead to regrets, and he wonders what flavor this particular deed is going to take, right? And if it's not instinct, then is it just a desire of a caged soul? The voice in his mind speaks to another, which is but itself. And so in dialogue, it can swallow up entire realms. And but then everything outside the limit of one's skull is an illusion. This is a repetition. This has come up before. I
Hmm.
think when is it in this book or in Dust of Dreams? I'm not sure where, but it has come up before. Like someone, I think it is Erastus walking through a dragon skeleton, and
Yeah.
he reaches the skull and thinks reality is just inside
Yeah.
this
It was That's a
skull.
Dreams, chapter 8, I think.
Yeah, yeah, somewhere in Dust of Dreams.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
that
think like
particular
was it not a
dragon's
mercy that they killed you? Yeah, whatever bullshit. Yeah.
is that like I don't know that sounds exactly like this dragon because it's the same injuries here. So anyway, now watchers fight for them, watchers die for them, for this, the realms or whatever. And this is not majesty that fills graveyards, but sophistry. Why
I
direct and this
don't
has
know.
something called? Yeah, yeah. We'll just keep going on. And anyway, this is a new world, but they have nothing new to offer here. And Tennis notices that magic burns bright and it is untethered. So he decides to make this sorcery his, right? And then he smells fresh blood and he's hungry because he's just had sex apparently. So he swoops down to go eat. Scene 4. It's so much fun to make you laugh at silly things like this. Yeah, scene 4.
The husbands.
The husband. Can't you muster up some energy for this? Right.
Um.
What
Yeah.
are their
I'm
names?
I'm like Garelko.
Oh, Garalko. Then
Yeah. I'm old and just tired
tell
and
me the
jaded.
three names.
It's Garelko, Tathanol, and Dravast.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce
So
them?
yeah, I think the same as you.
Yeah. Nice.
I will not try to say it out loud. So anyway, basically what I typed was this scene is just pure banter and character work, and I don't see the point in going over this line by line because I found this line. Garalko says we
There's
are men,
Yeah.
eggs are for breaking, and Tatanal corrects him, saying we are husbands and eggs are for juggling. If they're talking about testes, then I'll take the scene.
No,
If
they're
it's
not
just they're
talking
talking
about
about like
testes.
just eggs, then I am so annoyed with this and I don't know what to do. Anyway,
No, no, no. I don't think they're talking about testes. I think what the purpose of that is like they're men, so they need to fight, they need to break eggs. And like he corrects them like, no, we're husbands. We have to take care of like the more delicate things because Lhasa can't cook. So we need to be the ones that take care of like the everyday home things, you know. So we juggle eggs rather than break them.
you know what? You know what? You're making sense, and I'm getting even more annoyed by this. Because,
It's
yeah, that
I
makes
think it
sense.
would be
Yeah.
better if it was about testes because there's fart jokes in this chapter, and yeah,
Yeah. I mean, so,
no, man,
okay.
I
Right.
don't know.
Summary. Let me summarize. So, the takeaways are these Garalko is the oldest husband, and he has noticed a dragon or a winged monster, but the others don't believe him. All three of them are very happy to be on the trail because they're cooking their own food and their stomachs are very happy.
At last.
One of them, one of the, this is the part I messaged because I was laughing so loudly when, like, when I was going on the bus. And then one suggests that, when they come back, they should forbid her from cooking and says, let's have a vote or something. I can't do this. Then Garalko says, oh, you guys are so bold. And he says something like, this is not something I highlighted, but my Kindle says, like, this is one of the most popular highlights of other Kindle users. The courage of husbands is directly proportionate to the proximity of the wife. So, anyway, Geralco brags that even their man lover king had, lusted after him, but he's old now. And then the husbands wonder if, Lhasa is trying to defeat death because she is afraid of aging. But they don't think so because, charm is not something you can say has anything to do with
Oh
Lhasa. And,
God.
they're
Okay.
talking all this, and all of a sudden they come across a dragon eating a skinned bear. And Garalko takes his staff and pokes its eye out. Ravas chops its hand with his axe, and the axe gets lodged. And Tatanal chops its thigh with his sword, and then it flies off. It actually falls off the ledge, and then it starts flying away. But it's a bit lopsided because it's blind in one eye, and I can. Why are you laughing?
Okay.
It's a
Because
hurt
for one,
dragon.
like before this, they were talking about like
Yeah.
yeah,
We're coming there.
yeah. Okay, go on.
And they can see the axe, Ravas axe, still, lodged in its talons or something.
Hmm.
And then Tathanal shows that his sword has like three scales attached to it. And then they notice that this is a campsite. And, Lasa's signature move is like kicking out coals. And they notice that. And they're, okay, finally we've reached her trail. So we are on the right path. And then they resume their conversation like, like there was no interruption. Like they didn't just chase away a dragon in the middle and say something like, Lhasa can't be accused of charm, deadly allure, yes, and so on and so on. Yeah, go on. What was it?
So yeah, they were earlier before, like when the eggs line came up, eggs are for breaking, eggs are for juggling. They were talking about winged creatures, basically dragons, right, flowing overhead,
Yeah.
and then Ravast, I think it is, like, no, that's bullshit. Like it was probably just a condor, a bird that thought like your
Oh
head
God, that.
was a
Yeah.
rival's nest, and then like the dragon shows up, and like their first reaction was, huh, you were right. Maybe they weren't shadows after all. Then they just continue like completely nonplussed. Like, oh, okay, yeah, we can't say she has charm. Deadly allure, yes. Everything else, yeah, but charm, eh? I I just want to remind everyone that this is right after the Narad chapter and like all of chapter 4 and everything
Why
that
do you
had to do with
have
the
to
dice.
be a killjoy like this? Let us enjoy a good, funny
I'm not
chapter
being
for what
I'm
it
not
is.
being a killjoy. I just want to say that like this, I don't know.
The entire book is, yeah, it is sad, but yeah, this is a fun bit. Let's enjoy. Let's laugh at this, and let's me tell like I for a scene. Okay, what is scene 5 called?
Um, I don't know. Hanako.
The wife. We
Okay.
just had the husband, so now the wife.
Right.
Okay, Lhasa sees that her husbands are not exactly hurrying after her, and so
See what I mean?
then I think most of this episode is, we're wasting time by just laughing over it.
We're
So
very
anyway,
sorry.
she asks Hanako if, am I not enticing enough? Am I not desirable and all that? And Hanako says that, yeah, you're all that and more, Lhasa, and all that. And then she thinks that they're probably angry with her. And can I just tell you, like, tell everyone that the audiobook is pretty amazing because this is when I actually sat up and took notice because his Lhasa is amazing. Guy doesn't hold back. Guy doesn't feel shy talking exactly like how Lhasa would talk. And it just adds so much to the audiobook. I'm really enjoying it. So anyway, she thinks that they're all probably angry with her. Creed says, yeah, they must be because you didn't even leave them a note. And she says, no, no, she's not angry. That is not the reason that she is thinking of. She says there is a careless imp within her. My first thought was she is pregnant, but no, it's just,
No.
yeah, she's not.
No.
And then she says that the imp gets angry. It has a temper. And every night she watches them eat their wretched dinner that she makes for them and have their no taste. Right? What does Creed tell her? They must have, because after all, they married you. And then she says something like, after all these years, they have they have let themselves descend into sorry,
What was it? Like vapid finality?
dullardly obtuseness, and
Yeah.
she kicks the coals in frustration every night. And then Hanako asks, like, what is the cause for your vengeance? And she says, thus the virgin spoke to marriage. We don't really have an interpretation, do we? What she means by this?
Not really. No, I think it's just he's just making a fucking a joke on it, like rather than it dying into it beforehand. Like, oh, like,
No, like
um,
the
what is
the
the
best I
cause
could do is
of?
he
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
understand the dynamics because he's a virgin and she has like three husbands. So he probably thinks that this is just what
yeah,
is the
yeah.
reason for your vengeance, and yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
Creed laughs
we
at
get
this.
married and you'll know then. Yeah,
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, that's the feeling I got. Yeah. So Creed laughs at this and she gives him an earful, right?
yeah,
She asks like, you warrior who wears everything you conquer, have where is your wife? Why don't you know all that? She basically puts him down, and then he says that her wit is like a song to his ears, and that's when she tells him, you not met my wit. And then she tells Hanako to help her with oils and soaps when they reach the lake. What was it thing about the shore? If you're sure. Okay, I think
yeah.
I think I've
To
quoted it.
help
Yeah, yeah.
me,
Give me a
I
minute.
let.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah,
It's coming. And then she tells her husbands are probably well off the trail she has set them, and they're probably picking berries and chatting endlessly and lying in the sun and enjoying. Hanako agrees, and then she teases him some more. There's some back and forth. And she says that maybe she will pick him for a lover. And he says that he foresees three deaths waiting him because dying once will not be enough. And she knows that these guys, her husbands, must be jealous because she's traveling with these two guys. But Creed is probably not a reason for anyone to be jealous about because he's just a warrior, whereas Hanako is young and handsome and so tall, and even
responsible
then
though.
these guys are not hurrying after her. So poor Lasa, nobody's hurrying after her. And then she tells Hanako, smile sweetly and show sure hands in the spreading of soap and oils, Hanako, and I might let you walk upon my shore. Shall we take a minute to just be angry at this? We just had an entire chapter with shore metaphors. We had so much discussion about what the shore means and what the Emerland thing is and shadow and so much going on. And now Lhasa just comes and says, you know, it's just her pickup line. I let you walk up on my shore. So anyway, she stops suddenly, and then they see a dragon struggling in the shallows of the lake. Creed waits for it to turn its blind eye, and then he goes to attack.
Sure,
Lhasa
it's
recognizes.
blind to the shore.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I hate this
It
book.
is, yeah. Lhasa recognizes Rava's axe and thinks that my husbands have been devoured and not by me. And the way the audio book says this, it's like burned in my brain now. My husbands have been devoured, but not by me. Then Creed rushes in saying, I'm going to avenge you, Lasa Rook. And he basically kills it. It takes a few blows. He crushes its skull, orbital bone, cheekbone, and I think smashes its neck also and kills it. And then you know what he does? He takes a knife out and pulls out its heart to drink its blood. Okay? And Lhasa keeps grieving in her fashion. Please, could you read that out? I can't do it with a straight face.
Hang on. I need to find where it is. Give me
Rava's
one
so
sec.
young, so fresh
Yeah,
to my
yeah,
bed.
yeah, yeah. 1 second. Hold up.
Sorry, I should have told you to be ready.
Yeah, yeah. So Ravast, so young, so fresh to my bed. I see the fury of your battle, the bravery of your stand. Who was first to dive down the fiend's maw? Garelko, too slow as always, too old in all his creaking ways. Nathanel, did the beast toss its head and swallowing you down like a sliver of flesh, like a fish down a heron's gullet? Did you complain all the way down? Oh, my heart grieves, Ravast.
So, so this is the dynamic. She loves Ravast. She knows that he's brave enough to, attack first, which is what happened. And Garal, poor guy. Did you complain all the way? Is like the most, you know, heartbreaking diss I've ever heard. Did you complain all the way when the dragon ate you? So,
Uh,
all right. So Erlen Creed starts drinking the blood, and suddenly he talks to Iskari Mokra. He tells her that Arak Rashanas, his brother, is lusting after her, and he leaves behind crushed eggs near her perch to make her doubt and yearn for his, doubt the potency of his seed or something. But Dalk is going to kill him. And then he talks to Arak, Rashanas, and tells him that he took her again. Basically, he's taken Iskari Mokra again, and his spawn will be born in this new world, and they'll be born filled with hatred for him, for Arak Rashanas. And then he stumbles and he begs for, "Oh, mother, oh, Latal, please heal me." We don't know who this Latal is yet. And then he faints. Hanako drags him out, and Creed opens his eyes and says, "My love sings my name in the ache within her," and all that. He calls him Creed and he says, "No, no, my name is Dalk." And then after a while, he sort of like wakes up and tells Hanako that he is not alone, right? So I just want to say that, we just had this thought that reality is something which exists within one's skull limits, but now uh, Daltonus and this guy are sharing a skull basically, right?
mhm.
Now, scene 6, back to the husbands. The husbands are doing exactly what Lhasa predicted. They have eaten berries and they are dozing in the sun. There is a lot of banter, but yeah, once more, let me do justice. Ravast is relaxing, Tatanal is exploring some stone menhirs in that area, and Garalko is napping. Tatanal calls himself profound because he's old enough, though not as old as Garalko, mind you, but he's old enough to appreciate that life is brief and there is, time is pointless and all that. And Ravast calls him boring. Then Tatanal says, "You're too dumb." And he explains that the Azathanai, yeah, it's basically that. Trying to talk to you is like finding a bird inside your skull which has no exit or something like that. Yeah. And he explains that the Azatanaya are like a mysterious uncle who only offers you a knowing wink. And Ravast is reminded of some guy called Canin Thrall who has recently wandered off again. And without knowing anything else, I'll just say that this whole scene is almost like, they're setting up Canin Thrall to be the Tellakai Azatanai. We don't
Okay.
know.
I'm gonna
Let
quote
me.
because I don't think so, but I'm gonna quote. Yeah.
Within this chapter, you're going to quote.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So where is it? Uh,
See, if you break the spine,
oh
you'll
damn it.
find your page faster.
Yeah, 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 sure I will. So you speak of Canon Thrall, who then wandered off again, years now, since last we have seen him or known of his whereabouts. But now at last I am beyond caring. He but served as an irritating example. I was speaking of the Azathanai and their obsession with stone. Statues, monuments, ring circles, chambered tombs, always
Go on,
empty,
go on.
and their madness reaches further. Ravast. Stone swords, stone armor, stone helmets, which will serve only stone heads. I'm God. I imagine they shed stone too. Well, we have seen a few suspicious pebbles along the way. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, this is
draw
what
your
he
own
said. There is
conclusions
just
about Canon
banter.
Thrall. Yeah. But yeah,
So
it's
no,
mostly just
and then
banter.
no. Then also he says something like after this stone bit, he says that the Jagged, when they found the hidden Azathanai among them, they kicked him out, and the Telakai cannot be immune because they're just not found him yet. But there has to be some Azathanai hiding and with them, and this is why I thought. I mean, I still sort of think that Canin Thrall is and Asatanai. And Rava says that, then it means these Asatanai must be gods. Once again, coming back to the same thought. And he says that, we worship the rock gods. And he says that no,
We
we
don't.
don't worship them. We
We
just
just
blame
blame
them when
them
things
when
go
things go
wrong.
wrong.
And when things go right, we just congratulate ourselves. This is Ravast. And what does this guy say? Something like,
Something
are you
about like
exhausted?
jaded old cynicism and shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like in your youth, you have exhausted all the answers and,
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. It's a lot of ageist stuff, but then it's basically sibling banter, right? What these three have. Yeah. What do you call them? Like their husbands in law? I don't know what term comes up. What do they call each other? Brothers. I think they specifically say my beleaguered brothers somewhere. So anyway,
I'm
they're in
not actually
some
sure. Yeah.
no,
I
in
don't think
text
they're
they
legally
call each other
related.
brothers.
But yeah,
Hmm?
yeah, they do. But like legally speaking, I don't think they're related.
How could they
I
not be related if
I
they're
don't know
married to
how
the same
polygamous.
woman?
I don't. We don't do polygamy here. I don't know.
No one is asking you to do anything. We're just thinking what would be the term, the technical term,
Like
if
that's what I mean. We don't do that here, nor so I wouldn't know the term.
that's not a valid excuse. Okay. They're in some
I don't
ruins and
know.
Tatana, you don't know is a good enough answer, yeah. And Tatanal has been trying to say that the Azatanai built this and then they probably uprooted this also. And he sees echoes of an old rage. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No? You're not
No.
interrupting. Okay.
No. No.
And then
No.
they talk about matters of faith. Tatanal thinks that, Lhasa has lost her faith and that's why she's going on this journey. Rava says, no, she is. Oh no, Tatanal thinks that she has not lost her faith, and Ravas thinks no, she is going because she has lost her faith. And anyway, they expect to see Noah Satanai among this Jagat army. Maybe other Jagat might be there. There might be some dog runners and a few Telakai. And one of them says that we refuse the summons, but we are still on the trail. We are still following her. Rava says, no, we are just going to find her and bring her back with weapons of reason or something. Tatanal says, no, that's not what is happening here. She has extended her leash, and we only have an illusion of freedom. Do you remember where it keeps coming up, right? A leash and an illusion of freedom. I think we've
Hmm.
already had Narat thinking of
Yeah.
stuck in his rut. Then we also
Mistake
thought
and yeah,
had
yeah.
Galar
He
Baras being stuck
yeah,
with
Galar
dishonor.
and who else is there? There
To
probably
some
is a few
extent,
more.
even
A few more.
Varath, who
Um, is Anamander kind of like that? I'm not sure.
it hasn't come up yet,
I
but yeah,
don't. I don't think Rake
all
has given
this.
in to fatalism. I think he does. Like when we see him in the Book of the Fallen, looking back, he does think like, "Oh, I
Yeah,
had only one option." But right now, I don't think he has.
I think Galan has already told us that he's being pushed in all directions and
Yeah,
there's only
yeah.
one way to go. So
Man
basically,
pushed by
that's
many hands will go in but one way, no matter what he pleases. Yes.
yeah. So
Go
anyway,
on.
Garalko then suddenly wakes up and cries that I dreamt of a dragon, and they say that it's not a dream.
Yeah, you
We actually
idiot. We
saw
just
one.
fought him.
Yeah. And then Garalko says that dreams and truth are all fusing, and he feels that he's cursed, and he hopes
Wait,
that one day there will
you're
be
skipping
enough
the entire
girls.
like thing. Like you idiot. No, it didn't. He didn't dream. We actually fought him. Wait, that was a dragon. What else could it be? Well,
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's a
Ravas
big lizard with
doesn't.
wings and a tail and scaly. Okay, now that you mention it.
Yeah, the description is apt, isn't it? I think that's what Ravas says. So anyway, Garalko goes off into a side note of someday I hope we have enough girls in the population that the system of polyandry can stop and they can face man and woman like one to one. And Tatanal points out that the Taist have this type of monogamous marriages and they don't seem particularly happier than us. And this is what they keep talking and they continue the trek. Okay, I think this is the last scene, scene 7. What's it called?
Yeah. Yes, Athena again.
Diaz Athena, yeah. Krul says he needs more allies, and Skillen says it's difficult to find any more. And Krul says that our data has gone to the Vitr, a caustic sea with the essence of chaos, and she probably wants to explore the depths, and she may or may not be alone. I looked up the wiki, so I know what this is, but we're not going to mention that. Skillen will tell her that Krul is foolishly vulnerable. I hope this is a. He's going to tell her, to bring her on their side. When this is going on, they are walking around the edge of a pit where there is no tidal waste, there is no energy at all. They think that if they descend into this, they will probably die. And Krul calls this a quarry where the builders have been building houses, and as soon as the house is built, it disappears, only to reappear elsewhere as if they were grown from seeds. Krul wonders what drives them to do this. Why are these builders going on building houses? They all
Hmm.
have mysterious origins, just like the Azathanai. And then he wonders why the Azathanai were left on this realm to find flesh and bone. Have we always been? Will we always be? And what is our purpose? Did Triss ask us the same thing? Triss asked Pharaohhead, what is your purpose? And then she
Yep.
wonders what is her purpose.
Hmm.
It's a lot of questions in the air.
And then
So
it's like, yeah, but if no one shapes me, then I am free to
yeah.
choose, and I am, yeah, which is all interesting. Cruel seems to somewhat purport that they have a higher purpose. That
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
someone
coming. It's
made them
coming.
for a purpose.
Is that what Cruel thinks?
I think that's what.
He says that we don't have meaning and we try to find meaning. Okay, let me just finish off and then you can explain it to me.
I
Skillen
could be
says
wrong.
that no, no, you're hardly ever wrong.
Oh, come on. No, go
Should
on.
I? Okay. Skillen says that it is their lack of purpose that keeps driving them onward, and they're trying to seek meaning and purpose and love, and with rubble, they can accrete a world. And Krull asks that if beliefs are all they have, and Skillen says that the builders don't build to impose order. What they're trying to do is contain them. So, in effect, the builders are enemies of the Azathanai, and they're trying to build prisons to hold the Azathanai. And the builder which dragged Krull tried to imprison him but couldn't do so. And Krill says that there are a few Azathanai who worship these houses, and Skillen says it is because they seek to find meaning. And then he wonders, who is the children of whom? The Azathanai and the elders, who preceded whom, and which of them have fallen from their purpose? Why do they think all these things? Who care? They can't really find all these answers. I was about to say who cares, but I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that these are just, existential questions. You just ask them and move on. And then he thinks the builders are building worlds of denial, but what must the Azathanai do? Should they just stand aside and let them build them? Or should they oppose them because, they could be enemies? And the fools who worship it are just that, they're fools. And they have faith in a god with no face. And Krul thinks that he has been called a fool. Skillen asks, like, why did you make this gift? And Krul says he wanted to break the rules. What rules, you may ask? That there are some rules and they seem to exist their needs. The rules are existing to serve their needs and it suits them. But the rules probably came into existence before them, like cause precedes effect.
Hmm.
This is a lot of stuff. This is way above my pay grade. And then he talks of Azathanai possessiveness and he says he was inspired by the suzerain of night, who gifted so much of his power that he couldn't take it back. Skillen is shocked and asks if, tell me of Draconis' regrets. And Krull says, I don't think there are any regrets. He seems to have found something addictive in surrendering power and he's becoming drunk on helplessness, and this is what inspired Krull. I heeded the suzerain's gift and deemed it, in the end, too modest. That has since changed as Draconis has gone yet further. But of that, I will tell you later. So, initially, Draconis gave some part of his power to this diced woman and made her mother dark. And now
Hmm.
he's given her the Terran dye. And so
Hmm.
Krull wanted to step it up and he wants to do more with his blood. This is what I got out of this scene.
Well, the sequence is Draconis makes the test woman Mother Dark. Cruel gives a gift because he thinks just making a woman a goddess is too modest.
Yeah.
Good
So
one.
he gives out.
And then
Yeah.
like Draconis is like, okay, bitch, okay, fine. And then he just gives her the Gate of Darkness with the Terran die. And then Cruel's like, okay, yeah, maybe you have a point there. So I'm gonna one up you again. And they just one
Yeah.
up each other constantly.
And
So yeah.
Skillen thinks that this is a tragic tale, and Krull says something like, "So together now, Draconis and Krull, we come to threaten the realm with devastation by our gifts." And then he says that they started just trying to be generous, and so on. And Skillen points out that their gifts were to mortals, but they're being threatened not by mortals but by fellow Azathanai. And Krull says he can't stop Erastus, so Skillen wants to know what does he plan to do. Krul says he has sought out Skillen specifically because of the burden of regrets he carries. Skillen asks that if he's going to be used like that, and Krul tells him to consider this also as a gift of giving him purpose. And Skillen gets angry and asks him what exactly
Consider
is this
your
gift.
words very carefully because I am considering tearing you limb
I am
from limb
close
for
to
your
rending you
temerity.
limb from limb. Yeah. And Krul answers the word redemption. And the whole soul of Skillen recoils from that word. And then Krul explains that Erastus seeks to make Chance a secret assassin of hope and desire. That is a flavor he's trying to impart into this world. And now there are gates, and these gates need guardians and suzerain
Hmm.
powers. The gates need suzerain powers. I don't think we can effectively talk about this right now. Should we just have like a spoilers all episode sometime soon?
I think we can talk about this now.
Okay. No, the way I understood this is okay. What we know from the Book of the Fallen, each gate or each warren has a dragon, right?
Hmm.
In this chapter, we are seeing the same name dragons roaming around, being just dragons, not being anything extraordinary. And somewhere Krullas, makes them guardians of these gates. He aspects each warren to one dragon, and for some reason they're calling this as suzerain powers. So I thought that Draconis is a suzerain of night. So what is
Yep.
happening is, I thought he was at the same level as these dragons, and that's why he's able to like shapeshift. But you said it is a bit more than that. He like owns the gate. So these dragons
Yeah.
which are being aspected to the warrens, are they like supreme rulers of that warren? I
No.
don't think so.
That's the
Then
difference.
between suzerain and guardians, probably.
So it's a bit confusing because
Is it? It's a bit
as
confusing. Shock.
far, yeah, shocker. Uh, from the Book of the Fallen, it seems like the two parties, like Cruel and the dragons, made a bargain
Yeah.
of which Cruel came out on top because he would
Sort of they were fooled
sometimes,
into being
yeah, yeah,
guardians or something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes he would offer the same warren to two different beings.
Oh.
So, like, one warren has two different guardians. Like, I think Solana and was it Solana? Fuck me. The Fire Warren anyway has two guardians. One is
Okay.
I think Solana, the other is Alarethel. One is True Aligned, the other is Soul Taken Aligned.
Mm-hmm.
So neither of them would have complete suzerainty over that single force. And then you have, your other dragons like Ambalas and Kalsa and Eleth who have given their blood to shape these warrens. Like Ampalas claims he has shaped Emerlon. Eloth claims she shaped Mokra,
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth. And Cotillion pretty much calls him out of the bullshit, like, oh, yeah, okay, good one, buddy. But, okay, I don't want your bullshit. I want the truth.
Is this which book is this? I think I'll have to go and read this
That's the
chapter.
Bone Hunters, Chapter 2, which we have an
Okay.
excellent summary of that scene, which we'll link to. But
Zil made this, right?
basically,
Yeah. Zil
yeah.
took this.
In effect, it seems that from the Book of the Fallen, that Cruel made the dragons as like Nexi. What's the plural of Nexus?
Nexus. They just made.
Nexuses? Nexus?
I
I
don't
don't know.
think Nexus is a word. Nexus. Nexus should be the plural of Nexus. Why not?
Okay. Made a lot of Nexus as of
Yeah.
the dragons to
Nexus
anchor his
is.
warrens.
What nonsense. Okay. Next, I don't. Yeah, sorry. I'm not going to look up. Please finish.
To anchor his warrens, right? So when he says that like the dragons would be suzerain powers, I don't think he's lying, but I don't think because there are no masters of the warrens, right? Because unlike Erastus, who seeks to impose some form of suzerainty, so like it's his tiles, he is the master of the tiles. There is no master of the warrens until there is, because necessity gives rise to one, like in Ganos Baron. But until then, there is no master of the deck of dragons. Because, as Ganos goes on to say, that's a bit of an oxymoron, because like dragons are creatures of chaos, and a master of chaos is a bit of an oxymoron. So I think Cruel decentralized the suzerainty that he promised by making everything so widely accessible that no one dragon could claim suzerainty over any one horn, like what Dalk is trying to do here, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna go take this magic for my own. Well,
Yeah.
no, you can't do that because there's too much of it, frankly.
Yeah.
I think that's what Kurald did. And that's why I think he's still bleeding out like 300,000 years, 100,000 years, however long after this is.
Okay. Right. So then, yeah. So basically, it's talking about picking guardians for the gates, and Draconis probably will pick from Teist, which Krul doesn't want. He wants dragons, and the Starwell gate has opened twice, and the most boldest of them have come inside. And Skillen says that you can't bargain with dragons, and they wouldn't want to meet Skillen anyway. Krul reassures him that all dragons but one will fight for what they offer, and he has no intention of letting Tiam manifest here, so they will meet the dragons as they are dispersed. And Skillen is still sour. He says something like, "Your gift of redemption to me, and from this, my gratitude to you, and from that, my power conjoined to yours." He's not happy with the long con game that
This
Krill is playing, and
gratitude of chains.
yeah, the gratitude of chains,
Huh?
right?
Huh?
Yeah. And then he asks why he didn't consider Ardata. And then he realizes that, she's in the chaos of Vitru, which is too close to dragon blood. So I don't know why that should stop her. Maybe she can't fight chaos if she's already within chaos.
I don't think it's supposed to stop her. I think it's like she's not going to fight back against Gruul because she has a similar gift, you know?
Oh, no, no. Why wouldn't she be the guardian for Krul? Why wouldn't she fight the dragons for the sake of Krul? Because she's too close to chaos herself. That's the way I got that. And then they start listing all the Azathanai we know so far. Kilmandarus, Nightchill, Farender, Tarag, which is a new name for us, Caladan Brood, Grisinfal, and Male. And Krul says that Caladan is lost to them, and Skillen asks, is he playing High King somewhere? Which is, there is another High King here apparently. And Krul says that, he's not on speaking terms with Male. So Skillen finally gets angry and asks, like, am I the third choice? And then he asks, what scheme does he have to keep the dragons from attacking Skillen on sight? Krul admits he doesn't have any plan, there is no scheme. He intends to use Skillen as bait. And Skillen gets angry and grabs him, holds him up. And finally, Krul gets scared. And then he asks, what do you mean the gate of Starwell Demilin opened twice? How many dragons came in? And he says that the
10.
first time yielded totally 10. Yeah, but the first time yielded only one, which is dead, or rather, as dead as dragons can get, because its carcass is rotting at the shore and nobody knows who killed it. We know it was Triss. And what was the name of that dragon?
Korabas, so no, whatever.
Korabas
Korabas.
Oten Tantaral. Yeah. And then he says, don't worry, I'm not yet done with her. And this is where the chapter ends. I totally enjoyed it. The tone changed and it became just awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Closing thoughts.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you have any?
so, on the matter of the tone change, this is actually not unheard of. Well, obviously, but what I mean is like this was quite present.
We have
I don't know.
seen the precedent for this in which book?
Basically, what I mean is this would be quite common in tragedies. Like I'm gonna draw from my tradition,
Yeah.
Shakespeare. Whenever a Shakespearean tragedy would end, so like the audience would know that it ended, they would just break into a dance. Like the entire cast, like all 20 people, would just start dancing. Right?
Really?
Yeah. So to reinforce the national catharsis, because like think of Hamlet, right? At the end of Hamlet, spoilers, everybody dies. Um,
Why are
and
you
then like
spoiling
every
Hamlet? I've
actor
not read it.
just stands up and then they start dancing, so like the audience knows that the play is over and they can have fun again. In ancient Greece, because we were more crass at the time, we had a little thing called the satyr drama, right, which is oddly reminiscent of the husband sections, where it's
Mhm.
basically the satyrs were
What is
fey
the word you're
adjacent
using?
creature. Satyr, say Satyr,
Okay, okay,
satyr,
yeah. Yeah.
horned little centaur guy.
Yeah.
You've probably heard of him. Um, and they were like fey adjacent creatures that were basically mischievous and just extremely horny. That was their
How?
deal.
How?
Yeah. So there were a lot of sex jokes because you would have 3 days of plays. The first 2 days would be tragedy, and then like the last day would be 4 days, 3 tragedies, and one satyr play per competition. So I was like annually. So each playwright would prepare 3 tragedies and one satyr drama. So you would have like 3 soul-crushing days, and then just one where like every dick joke in the ancient Greek language would be used. So it's
So
really
you're
reminiscent of
not
that
just,
here.
you're not, uh, you didn't mean that you were grass back then.
I did, because it was a celebration of like Dionysus, who was like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
patron of such celebrations. And
yeah.
if there's one thing Dionysus is known for, it's not tragedies, it's wine and dick jokes. So yeah.
Nice.
As for the last chapter, beyond what I already mentioned, I want to mention a few things. One, on our data, Skillen basically thinks of like, so you have set up a few things to manipulate me. Like, you bait me with redemption. What have you set up with our data? I'm like, oh, don't tell me. I know. Like, the Vitter is so very close to Dragonblood, so you can use her too. And then Krill says, like, chaos is necessary to counteract what Erastus plans. That's another. Well, the other thing is that we don't hear of the Sister of Cold Knights. We hear of Night Chill.
True,
You might
that's
think that's
true.
a very
Yeah.
minute detail, but Night
True.
Chill is the name the Azathanite by the name of Sister of Cold Knights assumes whenever she meddles with mortals.
So, is she already around somewhere there with the Teist?
Probably. Like, she appears to Calor as Sister of Cold Knights. But whenever she's with the Malazans, she's Night Chill.
Yeah. Right? So, we need to see her and the hiking.
So I'm gonna look like an idiot because Steve slipped up or something, and like he just said, "Oh yeah, whatever, no one's gonna notice." But yeah,
The thing with Malazan is because, we see so much of the author interviews and AMAs and all that. We can't tell when it's a mistake, when it's an honest mistake, and when it's a deliberate, intentional thing, like Bered and Bursa.
oh god, yeah.
Yeah, things like that. Like, there are, if mistakes were non existent, then yeah, we would just say that everything is intentional, but it does happen. So, right? So, this is
Other
the
than that, yeah,
fun of, yeah,
this was the fun
you.
of Malazan, yeah.
Hmm.
And I'll be taking chapter 6, which should be probably like a day or two after this one airs, hopefully.
I don't know where our editing is going back because we're reading so much and we're just going on recording. We don't have time to like edit the next episode. So we'll see. We'll figure it out.
We'll work on it. So thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So thank you for watching, and good night.
Good night.